Hi, I'm Jay with my friend Steve. We're here to talk about some more crazy Bible stuff. Today we're going to talk about Ekklesia. And Steve's written a book about it, so take it away, Steve.
Well, ecclesia is not exactly a common word. What you been doing today, ecclesia? It's not exactly a common word. Anybody seen an ecclesia lately? But it is a Greek word, and it was common in Jesus' day.
Yeah.
And when we're talking about crazy Bible stuff, some of it's obvious, like Jesus walking on water. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But some of it's not so obvious. Because of translation. The Bible was translated by human beings, and sometimes they goofed.
Yeah.
And with the word ecclesia, they goofed. They translated it, the early English translators. The first two, Miles Coverdale and William Tyndale, translated the word ecclesia as congregation. But then, guess who came along?
The King James guys?
Big James,
Yeah.
Big Bad James.
Yeah.
And King James had his translators, by his order, translate ecclesia as church.
So what's the difference between the two words?
Well, a congregation is a gathering of people.
And that's Ekklesia.
It's that's part of ecclesia.
Okay.
It's a group of people congregating. We're kind of I guess two or more. Jesus said we're two or three gathered.
Yeah.
So we're congregating.
Yeah.
Whereas church is a place of worship.
Oh, it's the place.
Yeah, literally, it came from an Old English word, and the Old English word was what the name for the pagan worship circles, the Celtic worship circles.
Yeah.
It's C-I-R or C-H or something. It's spelled a little different, but it evolved into the word church. So literally the word church meant a house of worship or a place of worship. But in the New Testament, ecclesia didn't mean that at all.
Yeah.
It was not a place.
It's a noun for the gathering of people? Is that what it is?
Yeah, well, it's a proper noun, and it's also a general noun.
Yeah.
It came from two Greek words, ek, which is called out. Ek is out, and ecclesia is called. So ecclesia literally means called out, or the called out ones.
Oh.
So it's a congregation, assembly of people who've been called together. Now that's interesting, but the really interesting part is that ecclesia was a proper name. It was the name for the city council in ancient Greek city-states. Each, like Athens, Sparta, Corinth, they all had an ecclesia. Like in the United States, Nashville's got a city council, New York City, town, all these cities have some form of city council. Well, in ancient Greece, the cities had an ecclesia. So when Jesus said, I will build my ecclesia, the best translation, I believe, would have been my city council, my governing body.
Yeah.
The
The word church, you said, refers to a structure, a building, a place, a house
or a
of worship.
location, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people think that, the church is the building.
Yeah. Yeah, look at that red brick church. Here's
Yeah.
something funny.
I guess they're accurate when they say that.
Yeah.
But the people who come into it, it's a different word. That's the ecclesia.
Yeah, I told my daughter and her cousin when they were about 5 years old, my wife and I said, we're going to take you to a black church. We love to fellowship with African Americans.
Yeah.
And so, actually, I was a pastor for 3.5 years in an African American church.
Yeah.
But so we took, and my daughter and her cousin get out, and they both go, that church isn't black, it's red. So they were thinking of the building.
Yeah.
Some people say, well, the church is the congregation, but actually the church gives a different view. The church has traditions ever since Constantine made church Christianity the official religion of the Roman Empire. Church has been very structured, whereas ecclesia, the ancient Greek city council, it was not structured. It was participatory, and anybody could share.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Wow.
It wasn't one man's, it was like a town hall meeting or an open forum. And in the ancient Greek ecclesia, it was called together by a herald. not a HOR, not
Come on, come
yeah,
on.
hey, Ekklesia! You know, everybody would come when the herald would call.
Yeah.
And everybody that was a citizen of the city, Sparta, Athens, Corinth, Philippi, you know, anybody that was part of the city had a voice in the Ekklesia, and
Yeah.
they could come and share their concerns.
Wow.
So it's what we would call today a town forum.
Now that's not so crazy to do something like that. That's, you know, that was going on in government before Jesus ever said, "On this rock I will build my ecclesia." But the crazy thing, I guess, is that it was translated wrong. Translated into church.
Yeah,
Is that the crazy part of it?
Well, the crazy part is that most people think having worship where anybody can share is crazy.
Oh, yeah. That would be crazier
Yeah.
than the actual translation.
And
Yeah.
for 9.5 years, my wife and I, as you know, led an ecclesia at the Salvation Army Berry Street Corps, which is what they call their churches, in Nashville. But we were asked to start a Christian gathering that was non-traditional. So instead of a Sunday morning sermon, we came and did praise and worship, and then we said, who's got something to share? And we
Yeah.
let people share, and people thought we were crazy.
Yeah.
We got lots of visitors, and they'd come in and sit in the back sometimes, and why isn't there a sermon? Well, there's not a sermon in the Bible
I'm going to pitch your book.
for Ekklesia.
It's cheesy for you to pitch your own book.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm going to pitch it.
Yeah, it's on
I've read this book.
Amazon. It's
Yeah.
called Beyond Church.
And this is all about, well, it's called Ekklesia.
It's
Beyond Church.
yeah, an invitation to experience the lost word of the Bible.
There's the word.
Ekklesia.
It's in Greek.
Yeah, it's on the cover in Greek.
Yeah,
Now,
if you can read Greek, you can see it.
there is something in English in the King James Bible and other Bibles that back up my concept, or not mine, but the concept I've come to believe from study is what Jesus meant when he said he would build his ecclesia.
Yeah.
And that's 1 Corinthians 14:26. Do you know that?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah,
Not enough to quote it,
Oh,
but
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, it says when you come together, every one of you has a psalm, a hymn, a revelation, a tongue, an interpretation, that all things be done decently and in order. Now,
Yeah.
people like that last little segment,
That little
let it all
orderly
be
worship,
done
yeah.
orderly. But it doesn't just mean any order, it's participatory order, led by the Holy Spirit. It's kind of like what you and I do.
Yeah.
We just, share with one another.
Yeah.
And it works with two of us.
Yeah.
It would work with 50. I've seen a group of 150 people do this.
Wow.
And it works beautifully.
I was in a service one time. There were probably about 100, 125, and the pastor did exactly that. He just told everybody to just minister to one another. And people just started breaking out in little groups. It just happened. It was amazing. You could just feel the presence of the Holy Spirit when that happened.
Yeah.
But I've been to your services before, and it is awesome to just hear people, coming in. Now, I've read this book, and I'm sitting here nodding like I've never heard this before, but actually I have. But anyway, in here you talk about different ecclesias that have happened, and one of them, talk about John Wesley's class meetings.
Yeah, throughout history, the first 2 or 3 centuries, Christians basically met with interactive sharing. But eventually, as the apostles died and the second, third generation died, they began to put more structure on.
Yeah.
And of course, by the time of Constantine, it became super structured.
Yeah.
And ever since then, church is super structured. You got to sit and you got to look and you
so
got to
what-
be quiet. So John Wesley, when he started preaching, most people don't know that he didn't start the Methodist Church. He kept everybody in the Anglican Church, the
Yeah.
Church of England.
Yeah.
So they went to the Church of England on Sunday morning, but in the middle of the week, they would meet in class meetings. And this would be groups of 6, 8, 10, 12 people, and they would share. The question they would start is, how is it with your soul? And they would go around the room and everyone would share. And that was Ekklesia.
Yeah.
As soon as Wesley died, though, they started their own denomination, the group, and it wasn't long that they just began to focus on one man preaching on Sunday morning, and they let the class meetings die out fairly soon.
It's almost like we can't help ourselves.
Yeah.
It's like the rubber band. It takes us back to order. But
Well, to
the
man.
Methodists, that was kind of a nickname people gave John and his brother. What was his brother's name?
Charles.
Charles, yeah. And they were meeting like that, and they had such order and structure to their thing that. I mean, it was free, but I've read the format. You had to be there at a certain time, and so many minutes for this, and so many minutes for that. So the Wesley brothers were kind of into their structure and order, but it was free floating. Yeah. Once it was let loose, it was free.
They were, methodical. You know how to say that word?
Methodical?
Methodical. There you go. Hallelujah.
I was thinking of a bigger
See why you need more than one person? Yeah. Like if you're just listening to one man week after week after week, you know, he knows. He spent a lot of them have been to seminary. They studied the Bible, but one man doesn't know nearly as much about the Bible as 100.
That's right.
You got 100 people in the congregation. Why would just one man? Why not get the wisdom of the entire body instead of the wisdom of one man?
Right.
And you know, if Jesus is dead, which Christians don't believe, that we believe he's alive.
Right.
But if he's dead and gone, then we need to maintain structure and order.
Just like he did. Didn't Jesus have them all line up? So everybody's looking at the back of the heads of everybody. I mean, there were some times when he did, do
and
some
fill out a little card so I can contact.
I was here. Yeah, when we look at the life and ministry of Jesus and how we worship today, and then you read in the verses that you were talking about in 1 Corinthians, and you read in Acts 2 how the early churches went on. Now I've got a question. You're talking about it getting really structured when Constantine came along. When was that? 400?
Constantine was a Roman emperor, and around 330 something, 332 or 3, Constantine, there was a civil war, and he and another general were leading, different parts of the Roman army, and they had a battle. And he claimed he prayed and he saw a sign of the cross and he won the battle. And after that, he said he was a Christian. But he became pretty authoritarian. He called councils. He made Christianity popular. It became the official religion of the Roman Empire. So everybody wanted to join it. Yeah. You can sell more insurance if you join, you get, more clients. And so all of a sudden it wasn't people that knew Jesus, it was anybody and everybody, people who wanted to look good to the emperor. So all of a sudden, within a few years, Christianity began to explode in numbers, but many of those people were not converted. And also Constantine gave a lot of the pagan temples and other buildings to Christianity, and that was the beginning of the church building. Wow. Prior to that, because of persecution, the church buildings were limited. Like Paul in the book of Acts rented a house or a building for, was it a year, and taught?
I forget, in Rome? It
wasn't in Rome, it was in one of his journeys, Corinth maybe. He met in a rented building. But most of the times, the early Christians met in homes or fields, and frequently they were under persecution, so they couldn't put a sign up, Christian meeting on Thursday night, because they'd be telling the Romans where they were.
Yeah.
But Ekklesia has happened throughout history. The most obvious form of that, in my reading of church history, has been the Quakers. And when they started, they believed the Holy Spirit is real and He can lead a meeting. So they would just meet, and we're going to wait for the Holy Spirit, and then just do what the Holy Spirit tells you.
Well, one of the things I like about it in your book is you give kind of a format where preachers don't have to totally interrupt their service, but give some room for some ecclesia, and that's one of the nice things. We're going to have to wrap this up. We're getting close to our time here, and anyway, tell them where they can get this.
It's available on Amazon. If you just Google Amazon or Beyond Church, Amazon, there it's growing. The Lost Word of the Bible, Beyond Church, Sims, S-I-M-M-S, Amazon, and it'll pop right up. It's in Kindle or it's in paperback. It'll twist around, and it may twist your thinking a little bit.
Yeah, there you go.
But that's okay. It's good.
It absolutely is. Yeah, I've read it a couple times. It's great. All right, we got to go, and we will see you next time for some more crazy Bible stuff. Bye-bye.